Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with a fundamental truth, one that is often neglected in our superficial, transactional world of dating advice. If you want to capture a man's heart, truly capture it, you're not looking for tricks, manipulation, or fleeting attraction. You're looking for something deeper, an enduring emotional bond, a connection that makes him choose you, not just today, but every day. A man's life is a battlefield filled with pressures, expectations, and responsibilities that often go unspoken. Society rarely grants him the space to be vulnerable. From a young age, he is conditioned to suppress emotion, to endure without complaint, to always appear in control. But beneath that exterior is a human being, one who feels deeply, yet often lacks an outlet to express those emotions without fear of judgment. If you can be the one place where he feels understood, where he can lay down his armor without hesitation, you will become an irreplaceable part of his world. This isn't about coddling or treating him like a fragile creature. It's about creating an environment where he can exist fully without the fear of being perceived as weak. The irony is that the more a man feels safe to express his emotions, the stronger and more devoted he becomes in a relationship. This doesn't mean you tolerate behaviors that harm the relationship or let him unload his burdens without reciprocation. It means you listen without immediately trying to fix him. You acknowledge his struggles rather than dismiss them, and you cultivate a presence that feels like home. Many women make the mistake of assuming that because men don't always talk about their feelings, they don't want to. The truth is, they often don't because they've learned that no one truly listens, or worse, that their vulnerability will be used against them later. When a man senses that with you he is safe from ridicule, comparison, or emotional neglect, he will begin to associate you with a profound sense of comfort. You become the person he turns to when the weight of the world feels too heavy. This emotional security builds a connection far deeper than physical attraction alone. Physical beauty may catch a man's attention, but it is the feeling of emotional refuge that keeps him coming back. This does not mean you abandon your own needs to accommodate his emotional world. A truly strong connection is built when both partners feel safe and seen. But if you can give him a place where he can exhale, where he doesn't have to constantly prove his worth to be loved, he will begin to crave your presence, not out of necessity, but out of a deep emotional bond that he will not find elsewhere. Men are wired to seek purpose. From the earliest days of human civilization, they have been driven by the need to build, conquer, and achieve. This pursuit is not just about survival, it is about meaning. A man who lacks a mission, who drifts aimlessly without a sense of purpose, is a man who feels incomplete. Understanding this fundamental truth is essential if you want to create a deep emotional bond with him. Many women mistakenly believe that love alone is enough to sustain a man's emotional investment. While love is important, it is not the primary force that drives him forward. He needs to feel that he is progressing, that his life is moving towards something greater. The woman who truly captures his heart is the one who recognizes and respects this drive, not by being a passive observer, but by actively supporting and believing in his ambitions. This does not mean you should simply offer empty praise or blindly agree with everything he does. Men do not crave superficial validation. They crave recognition that is earned. They want a partner who sees why their work matters, who understands the deeper significance of their efforts. When a woman acknowledges not just the results of a man's labor, but the struggle behind it, he feels truly seen. He begins to associate his victories with her presence in his life. And that connection becomes addictive. Support does not mean sacrifice. It is not about losing yourself in his goals or making his ambitions more important than your own. A strong, high-value woman encourages a man's mission while maintaining her own sense of purpose. In doing so, she creates an environment where both partners push each other toward greatness. There is a unique kind of magnetism in a relationship where both individuals are striving for something bigger than themselves. If a man feels that his purpose is belittled, ignored, or seen as a distraction from the relationship, he will eventually withdraw. He may not always express it outright, but he will begin to feel a disconnect. On the other hand, when he knows that the woman by his side sees him not just as a lover, but as a man with a destiny, he will find himself drawn to her in a way he cannot easily explain. His mission becomes intertwined with his love for her, making her an essential part of his life, rather than just a passing attachment. A man cannot truly love what he does not respect. Attraction alone is fleeting. What makes a woman unforgettable is the presence of strength, depth, and integrity. Many people assume that the key to emotional connection is unwavering agreement, constant praise, or an avoidance of conflict. But the truth is that men are not drawn to complacency. They are drawn to challenge, not the kind that seeks to undermine or dominate them, but the kind that forces them to think, grow, and evolve. When a woman holds her own, when she has convictions and stands by them with grace, she commands a man's admiration. This does not mean being argumentative or combative for the sake of it. It means being a person of substance, someone whose opinions are rooted in thoughtfulness and experience. Men respect women who have a mind of their own, who are not easily swayed by pressure or the desire to please. A woman who can challenge a man intellectually and emotionally in a way that strengthens him rather than diminishes him is a woman who becomes unforgettable. This balance is crucial. There is a difference between a challenge that inspires and one that emasculates. A woman who constantly seeks to compete with a man to prove that she is better, stronger, or more dominant will push him away. No one wants to be in a relationship that feels like a battlefield. However, a woman who can question him without hostility, who can push him toward better choices without condescension, creates a bond that is both stimulating and deeply respectful. Men crave the kind of challenge that brings out their best selves. A woman who expects greatness from a man without nagging, without controlling, gives him a reason to rise. She sees his potential, not just who he is now, but who he could be, and she reflects that back to him. This makes her presence invaluable. She becomes the person he turns to for perspective, the one whose opinion he truly values. A relationship without challenge becomes stagnant. A man will not feel emotionally addicted to someone who simply agrees with everything he says, nor will he invest deeply in someone who diminishes his confidence. But when he finds a woman who strikes the delicate balance of encouragement and accountability, admiration and affection, he will find himself drawn to her in a way that is not just emotional, but deeply psychological. She becomes a force in his life, not just a presence. Men are wired to protect and provide. This is not a social construct. It is deeply embedded in their psychology and biology. Throughout history, men have taken on the role of defenders, not just of their physical environment, but of the people they care about most. This instinct is still alive today, even if modern society has shifted the way it is expressed. If a man does not feel needed in some capacity, if he does not feel that his presence adds value to a woman's life, he will struggle to form a deep emotional attachment to her. This is not about pretending to be weak or helpless. A strong, capable woman can still trigger this protective instinct by allowing a man to contribute to her life in meaningful ways. It is about making him feel that his presence matters, that what he does for you is appreciated and recognized. Many women unknowingly stifle this instinct by becoming overly self-sufficient in a way that signals, "I don't need you." While independence is attractive, a relationship is built on interdependence, on the feeling that both partners enhance each other's lives in a way they could not achieve alone. A man wants to feel that he has a role in your world, that his support, whether emotional, physical, or practical, makes a difference. This could be as simple as asking for his advice on something important to you, letting him take the lead in situations where he excels, or expressing gratitude for the little things he does. When a man feels like he is providing value, he begins to attach deeper meaning to the relationship. He does not just love you, he feels invested in you. This is also why men tend to stay emotionally connected to women who inspire them to step into their best selves. When a man feels that he is protecting something worthy, it awakens a deep sense of purpose. This does not mean you should create artificial scenarios for him to play the hero, but rather recognize the ways he naturally shows up for you and reinforce that behavior. When he sees that his strength, whether emotional, intellectual, or physical, is acknowledged and valued, he will be drawn to you in a way that is not easily broken. If a man does not feel like he has a role in your life, he may enjoy your company, but he will not feel emotionally bound to you. But when he feels that his presence is essential, that his actions carry weight and significance, he will naturally form an attachment that is difficult to sever. Men are drawn to what they do not naturally possess. Masculine energy is structured, logical, and goal-oriented. It thrives on competition, strategy, and problem-solving. But what truly captivates a man, what keeps him coming back, is the presence of something that softens that edge, something that draws him out of his rigid mental framework and into an experience of warmth, emotion, and connection. This is the essence of feminine energy. Feminine energy is not about weakness or submission. It is about flow, presence, and emotional depth. In a world where men are constantly battling stress, expectations, and the need to always be in control, a woman who embodies softness, joy, and emotional intelligence becomes a sanctuary. She creates a contrast that is deeply addictive. This is why men can be surrounded by opportunities, challenges, and distractions, yet still find themselves yearning for a woman who makes them feel something beyond the everyday grind. This does not mean suppressing ambition, intelligence, or independence. In fact, the most captivating women are those who balance their strength with grace. A woman who is confident in herself, but also capable of being present, who knows when to lean into her softness rather than always leading with her strength, creates an irresistible dynamic. She does not try to outcompete a man in his own energy. She draws him into a different, more profound experience. Men do not fall deeply for a woman who simply looks good or ticks the right boxes on paper. They fall for the way she makes them feel. A woman who knows how to engage playfully, who is expressive and emotionally attuned, who brings lightness into his heavy world. This is the woman who captures his heart. It is not about performing femininity in a superficial way, but about embodying a presence that makes a man crave the emotional experience she provides. Too often, relationships lose their magic because both partners become trapped in routine, in practicality, in constant decision-making. But when a woman understands the power of feminine energy, the ability to shift a moment with a smile, to bring joy into a conversation, to offer warmth in a way that disarms a man's defenses, she becomes unforgettable. He may not always be able to articulate why he is drawn to her, but he will feel it in his core. And that feeling will keep him coming back, not just for the relationship, but for the unique and irreplaceable experience of her presence.